Hello and welcome to a Friday edition of the Niall Fraser Show. And tonight we will be discussing tomorrow's rally in George Square. I know a lot of people have got lots of questions about it. I'm sure. I mean, get the comments in early. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow? Is there going to be a disturbance? Are we going to be driven off the square as they purport to do? All that and more coming up on the Niall Fraser Show. But first and foremost, the reason why I know these are all here, the intro music. Oh, well, hello and welcome to a Friday edition of the Niall Fraser Show. Already 140 people watching. This is incredible. Before even the intro music was finished, almost 150 people. Right, guys, get in the comments early. Let me know, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? So if you didn't already know, there's a rally in George Square tomorrow. 1 p.m. it starts. And it's a pro-UK rally organised by the Glasgow Cabbie. Here it is here. Stand together to protect our country. George Square, 7th of September, 1 p.m. After careful decision to maximise tennis status and change, blah, blah, blah. Notice this will remain a peaceful protest to share our distrust and fear of the future. So the key word there being peaceful, because this is everything but the portrayal that we are getting in the media is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll go through some of the articles just talking about it. But let's see if we can find the nay Nazis. I mean, they put their poster out, and it's no Nazis allowed in Glasgow. As if, here we go, Neil Mackay, this was the guy way back when. Run these far-right bastards out of Scotland, he says. Don't let the far right divide us. Don't let them divide us. Refugees welcome nay Nazis in Glasgow. Well, there's something to be said about that, isn't there? There's something to be said about the rhetoric that this guy is using, Neil Mackay. And it's not just him. Lots of people has taken his slant on it, being just it's going to be a fascistic Hitlerian event, which is just patently ridiculous, all because we want the boats to stop, all because we have issues with mass immigration. They want to cause far right, they want to cause Nazis, they want to cause fascists, but all because we have a bit of a concern about mass, uncontrolled, unvetted immigration. It's absolutely, patently ridiculous. So at about 9 o'clock, we're going to have a speaker on as a guest. Alison McConaughey is going to come on about 9, if everything works out. But first, let's have a look at some of the articles. So let's look at this. We've got it on the screen here, we do. Anti-racism campaigners gather in Glasgow's George Square amid a far-right rally plan. Hundreds of members of Stand Up to Racism Scotland will gather at George Square in a counter-protest to a far-right rally. Anti-racism campaigners, hundreds of them. It's so. I mean, they're calling us racists, right? By being there, just by virtue of being there, Stand Up to Racism, they are assuming that the other side is racist. Again, it's got nothing to do with race. It's all to do with this uncontrolled, unvetted, unlimited amount of migrants that were taken in, which is causing havoc right up and down the length and breadth of the UK. Right up and down the length and breadth of the UK. We've got stabbings here, mass stabbings there. It's not just the UK, it's all across Europe. And I think it's time we woke up, smelt the cheese, and said, this is horrendous for Scotland. We don't want this for Scotland. We want Scotland to be a nice, peaceful, safe environment for Scots to grow up in, to have their families in, and for their children to have a great, positive future in. And that's all we're asking. All we're asking is to stop the boats. And the sheer level of opposition to this is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Let's read more of this. Organisers deny the rally is far right or racists. They deny it. They deny it. Absolutely, we deny it. In fact, we absolutely denounce that. Has official permission. They, Stand Up to Racism. The rally's got official permission. Of course they do. Trade unions as well. Let's talk about trade unions and why trade unions are getting involved in this. Why are they telling all their members to show up at this? What are trade unions got to do with political rallies? What seriously? I thought a trade union was supposed to be like a workers' union in case your employer was in case you need to come together against your employer and maybe strike. This is ridiculous. Why? I mean, I've seen a video where a trade union and the guy stands up and he says, "Oh, dear comrades, it's a trade union. I didn't care it was a communist event." It's absolutely patently ridiculous. This and it's got me so infuriated. All the the bluster by the media, all the shameful articles that have been written, all these attack ads, attack videos on the cabbie, and it's just downright despicable. It really is. We'll have a look. Let's put up the video that they made of the Glasgow cabbie. Right, let's watch this. Get this away there. Let's move that. Let's get this video up.
Last month, we revealed Steph Shaw, the Glasgow cabbie, is trying to hide his links to the far right, fascist activists and the Holocaust deniers. Shaw is the main organiser of the hateful, racist rally that we will be opposing in Glasgow on Saturday. Shaw continues to deny he is connected with the far right and insists his rally will be peaceful and not about racism. But why hasn't Shaw distanced himself from all the far right figures we have shown he is linked to? And will Shaw explain this?
Steph Shaw now, the Glasgow cabbie. Steph, what would you like to say to Hamza Yusuf?
I think you should take a deep long look in the mirror at yourself, because you, Hamza, are without a doubt to my mind the most infamous, bigoted racist in this country.
In April, Shaw appeared in a fascist broadcast video alongside Simon Crane, the West Lothians butcher. Crane was a member of fascist group Patriotic Alternative, with links to proscribed neo-Nazi terrorist organisations and which promotes anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Crane left this sect to form the Homeland Party, which held its foundational meeting on April the 30th, Hitler's birthday. Homeland also says there is a conspiracy to replace white people with foreigners and campaigns for an ethnically pure Britain. In response to fascist riots and Islamophobic pogroms in August, Homeland complained the native population was being demonised for simply speaking out. Say no to the Glasgow cabbie and his dangerous friends. Join our Unity anti-racist counter-protest to oppose them. Nay Nazis in Scotland, refugees welcome here.
Nay Nazis in Scotland, refugees welcome here. I mean, I'm just laughing at it because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And they want everyone distanced from each other. They don't want anyone talking. I mean, the Glasgow cabbie, for all his faults, he's a stand-up guy. And yet they want to just tar him as some racist scumbag. It's absolutely incredible. And the just the sheer desperation to brand us all as Nazis is it's unlike anything that I've ever seen. And I mean, we'll have a look at the hate crime bill we've got in Scotland, and look at the definition of that. I mean, for the life of me, I think this is a clear cut. It is the very definition of stirring up hatred. It's calling us all Nazis, branding us all Nazis, so that they can they could inflict wanton violence upon us because we're the bad Nazis, aren't we? What a total joke. So I mean, we've got such a massive problem here in Scotland with just the toxicity of our debates. We can't even talk about the impacts of mass immigration without having honestly, it's almost the entire Scottish government with all their trade unions, all their charities and organisations, all the charities charities in Scotland are almost handcuffed. They're handcuffed by the Scottish government. If you don't do what we say, poof, off goes your funding. Gone. Absolutely gone. And this is happening again. We're hearing the rumblings again. Oh, if you speak up about this, we're going to cut your funding. We're going to cut your funding. If you speak up about mass immigration, we're going to cut your funding. Well, the question is, how many people are going to be paid to be there tomorrow? That's the question on my mind. I mean, get the guesses in the comments. We've still not had any comments. I've got one. This one. Have you left the SFP? Oof. Mary. I haven't left them as such. I've taken the thing off my Twitter handle, but I've not left the SFP as of yet. It remains to be seen whether I'll run with them in the future. But you know, I've still got a massive friendship with the Scottish Family Party, all the people in it, And it's just whether or not I want to be pursuing it. I mean, the Scottish Family Party's got a place in Scotland. I truly believe that. But at the moment, are they electable? Well, you would need a seismic event in order to make that happen at this current junction in time. I mean, the Scottish Family Party seems to me like it's more of a 15, 20-year project than it is just a flash in the pan. Try to get a few MSPs in and then just forget about it. No, it's a whole big plan of government. Right. So where do we actually begin on this? I mean, I've been really banging my head against a brick wall just about just how shameless the portrayal of what we're going to be doing tomorrow is. I mean, the threat of violence is massive. I've had threats on, veiled threats, all the Twitter warriors, watch your back, Niall, you're hated, absolutely hated, Niall. You watch your back when you're out and about in public. Nobody deserves that, really. But I suppose somebody has to take the ire of these useful idiots. So let's have a look at some of these things. Let's have a look at this article. Put this up. Glasgow anti-racism demo to take place in George Square in protest of far right. Let's see if we can find anything about the actual. Oh, this one's a funny one. We'll share this one instead. This is from the Socialist Worker. And it shows you the rhetoric behind it all. Scottish anti-fascists, they gear up for protest in Glasgow. And all your Antifa types, all your anti-fascists, right? What are they telling them? Wear a mask, wear black, don't let anyone see your face, because they're total scum. Because they're total scum, and they can't put their face behind anything that they do, because they're so cowardly that they can't put their face behind what they're actually doing. They are pathetic in the extreme, anti-fascists. And, for the life of me, this is going to, I mean, we'll be lucky if we go ahead tomorrow, and depending on what happens. If the police are not there early enough, we'll be lucky if the event even goes ahead. But I mean, we have to go with the assumption that it's going ahead. I'll be there just prior to 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock's when it's supposed to kick off. I'll be doing most of the speaking. And then we'll all try to leave the square peacefully. We'll see what happens then. And we'll see if any of these guys kick off. But again, this is the thing about all these protests that I'm at. That the police have to be there. The police have to be there, not because we pose any danger to anyone else. It's because the counter protests, the counter protesters, they pose a massive danger to us. That's why the police are there. The police are there for our protection, because the derangement, the insanity, the stupidity, and the sheer ruthlessness is on the other side. It's on the other side. And these people are just blanket insane. They're idiots. So these people could be put up to do anything. I'm just... This event has got me really, really, really annoyed. But I mean, it's one of these things that, the amount of people who are calling me over the last week, phoning me up. Is this thing even on? Are you going to this? Is this a good idea? Look, the thing is, we can't just capitulate. We can't just sit down. We can't just allow the Scottish government and all their pawns in the media. And this is the thing. It's the first protest I've been to where just random friends that I've got have said, "Oh, are you doing that thing on the 7th?" People who don't even follow politics know about this, because it's been all over Clyde One. It's been all over social media. It's been all over everything. They've been the politicians in Scotland have been absolutely abusing their contacts in the media, and just to portray us as the most horrible people in Scotland. And if there's any violence, if there's anything to happen there tomorrow, it's totally on the media, and it's totally on them. And they should already be ashamed of themselves. But if someone gets hurt, it's on them, absolutely on them. I mean, this is the thing. You're bear baiting people into a situation. You're saying Nazis are supposed to be the most evil people on the planet, and yet we're all being branded Nazis. So it really is just a jaw-dropping moment here in Scotland that we can't even turn up in George Square and talk about mass immigration without the whole government and all their tendrils, all their trade unions, all their NGOs, all their charitable organisations, all of them coming down on us like a tornado. And it shows you just how feeble they are, just how pathetic they are, that they need to mobilise everyone against such. I mean, there's only going to be like maybe five speakers. Well, because of us, you're not allowed to hear me speak in George Square. Is that where we are in Scotland now? You're not allowed to hear me speak. Well, anytime I go to speak, there'll be a whole mob of people coming to condemn the whole thing and to try to shut it down and to stop us speaking entirely. Does that sound anti-fascist to you? No, it sounds fascist. These people, I mean, it's always the anti-racists who are racists. It's always the anti-fascists that are fascists. They're so ridiculous. I mean, this is why they name themselves like this. It's the anti-racism campaigners are the ones they'll go into schools and they'll tell white kids that they're privileged and that their skin, just because they've got white skin, that somehow they've got inherent privilege. These are the anti-racists. Likewise, the anti-fascists will show up and try to shut down any speech that they don't like. History repeats over and over again, doesn't it? Well, they say it doesn't repeat, that it rhymes. It's very, very similar. I can see the same things happening again and again and again. Right, get the comments in, guys. We're at 260 viewers. We've still got half an hour before Alistair comes on. We're going to be diving into some other things. What I'm going to do is actually look at. Sorry in advance. I've not been preparing for this show as much as I've been preparing for everything else. I've just been writing the speech for tomorrow with priority on this. I was just wanting to jump on the show to tell people that it's all happening tomorrow, to turn up for 1 p.m. tomorrow, and to ask you, the viewer, what do you think is going to happen? I've got such a bad feeling about this. It's crazy, but I cannot allow the Scottish government and their cretinous what's the word I'm looking for? I just can't allow the Scottish government to get away with this. To get away with shutting down a legitimate demonstration on anti-immigration. I mean, that's all it's all about, right? The bottom line is this is an anti-immigration rally. No an anti, let's curb all immigration, let's get zero immigration. No, anti-mass immigration. It's something that we can all get behind. And yet we've heard it from the SNP for the whole last, at least since Humza was in. We want to take in more migrants. No, we don't. With SNP, we want to take in more migrants. No, we don't. The SNP want to change our demographics so they can be in perpetual power. That's what they want to do. They want to import voters that will vote for them forever. That's what they want to do, because they've given up the go on actually convincing Scottish people to vote for them. The SNP need migrants in order to maintain their power. So what are they going to do? They're going to ask for as many migrants as possible. I mean, let's look at what happened a few years ago. Let's look. Here we go. Right. Hopefully, we all remember this. Oh, what's going on here? Sorry about the quality on this. A knife attack in Glasgow hotel housing asylum seekers during COVID lockdown was an avoidable tragedy, a report has said. 6 people were stabbed in June 2020 at the Park Inn in Glasgow by an asylum seeker. Why? Why are they being put up in hotels right in the city centre? Did we just forget this? So we are going to be just round the corner for where this happened. And we're going to have people campaigning for more refugees, more asylum seekers to come to Scotland when we've just had, and it's only been 4 years since 6 people were stabbed in one attack in Glasgow city centre by an asylum seeker. Do the people really, are they really going to ask for more of the same? Are they really going to stand there and shout, we need more refugees, we need more migrants, when we've had a mass stabbing round the corner just 4 years previous? They're insane. They're insane. Rent a mob being used to try and shut down criticism of government policies. You can say that again, Anselman. This is the thing, is how many of the people that are going to be there tomorrow are being paid? They're paid activists. Paid activists. Paid antagonists, basically, to come out and to sort of to shovel home, to sledgehammer home the government's own policy, because they're being paid to push the government line. It's ridiculous. It's just so very infuriating. But aye, the rent a mob, and so man, they are going to be there in force tomorrow. Only the loony left are allowed to protest. Keep an eye out for Mercedes Villalba, MSP. Disappeared since December. Well, I think we might have a list of who's going to be there, because just over the last day or so, Janie Godley's somehow, is she coming? Is she no? Is she coming? Is she no? She was going to be with the stand up against racism. Janie Godley, the person, the racist Janie Godley, is going to be there with stand up to racism. How hilarious is that? Right, so I think we do have the picture. I'm just going to check. Righty-ho. Let's get that comment away. Right, so don't let the far right divide us. Compares. Speakers, blah, blah, blah. Tribune magazine, NASUT. What is the NASUT? NAS. It's a trade union. Oh, it's the National Teachers Union. Why are they involved in this? Why are they involved in this? Afghan Human Rights Foundation. We've got Patrick Harvey, the Scottish Greens. Oh, good to have him there. I'll love to teach him a lesson. And I might even call him out during my speech. Now that I know he's going to be there. Now that I know he's going to be there, I might get a mention. Who else? I thought Lorna Slater was going to be there. Where's Lorna Slater? The Scottish Socialist Party. Oh, Scottish Refugee Council. Scottish National Party. Scottish Labour Party. Stop the War Coalition. Stand Up to Racism Black Workers Committee. It's just, it's all nonsense. Look at this. Look at the amount of sponsors this has got. Stand Up to Racism, EIS, RMT, Positive Housing Action, STUC, PCS, the Fire Brigades Union, Glasgow Campaign to Welcome Refugees, Union Scotland, the Scottish Refugee Council. What is going on here? Is this not a problem? This is a huge problem. Why are these associations involved in this political event? Why? Why? I think we have actually had a press release as well. Let's read this. Right, so let's get these images off. Right, the press release. Trade unions, politicians, cultural figures and campaigners to stand up to racism, Glasgow, 7th of September. 9 trade unions, politicians, cultural figures. What is this? Cultural figures. What, we're going to get some musicians up, some cultural figures. What does that even mean? Leading campaigners stand up to racism in Glasgow on September. Irish rap trio Kneecap. They sound lovely, don't they? Irish rap trio. I bet they're absolutely garbage. I bet their music is absolutely crap. I can almost guarantee it. I can almost guarantee it. They'll be absolutely crap. Singer-songwriter Lisa O'Neill. Comedian Janie Godley, the Scottish Trade Union Congress, alongside 9 national unions, faith organisations, football fans, and many others, among support of a major counter demonstration in Glasgow's George Square, September 7th, to unite against racism and fascism, and to say that refugees are welcome in Glasgow. It's just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Anti-immigration rally due to take place in the square. Its organisers deny the rally is far right or racist. So it's important for them to get that in there. That's just it. It's important to get that in there. We deny that it's far right or racist. It's not far right to demand safety on our streets. It's not far right to demand the boats stop. It's not far right to demand at least a bit of safety here in Scotland. With this mass immigration, we do not have safety. We do not have it. It's not far right to think that. However, Stand Up to Racism has revealed the organisers' links and collaborations with individuals with a history of Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and activism in fascist groups. Oh no! Oh no! Let's talk about anti-Semitism for a while. Let's just pause on that one for a while. Anti-Semitism. I'm sorry. Have I just seen over the last 6 months Palestine marches making it less safe for Jews in all across the UK? Have I not seen the most rampant anti-Semitism coming from their side, the Palestine side? Have I not seen that, or is that just a figment of my imagination? And yet they'll literally write this. Can you believe these folk? The far right, with their toxic politics of hate and division, are not welcome in Scotland. After Reform UK, a far-right party achieved 7% of the vote in Scotland in the general election, and the chilling news this week that AFD, a party with neo-Nazi wing, had a breakthrough in German state elections. We urge all to unite against the far-right, racism, Islamophobia, and anti-Semitism. They can't help themselves, these folk. Kneecap Exactly. I think that's why maybe that's why they named their band that. And it's the same goofy band who wear an Irish tricolour balaclava. Maybe I'll stick around after the event to listen to the band. Do you think I'll be welcome? I don't think so. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. I'm getting so annoyed at this. But I mean, I'm going to get up some of my tweets as well, because I'm being accused of taking the victim card. Absolutely accused of it. Where is my big post-it bit? Jenny. Here we go. Right, let's share this tab instead. So, can you read this? Yes, you can. Right, so the rally slated for the 7th in George Square has exposed the awful bile in our politics, and now it's oozing out everywhere. Since it was published that it was to be a rally, politicians with their pawns in the media have sought to brand the rally as far right, racist, Islamophobic, and any of the other newfangled terms they use to shut down legitimate and well-founded anti-immigration views. Well-founded anti-immigration views. Absolutely. Scotland has become the absolute worst place. Sorry, I'm getting messages and stuff like that. It's tracking my train of mind. Right. Right from the get-go, scoundrels from strange organisations have even stooped to the ultimate low of calling their event Refugees Welcome, Nay Nazis in Glasgow, as if all the speakers and attendees were evil incarnate. This extreme rhetoric has inevitably resulted in severe threats of violence against myself and other attendees, talk of petrol bombs and conflagration. And this is the thing, never once have I been contacted by the police in regards to any of the threats that have been made against me. And there was a guy that said, if you turn up, you'll burn like the rest of them. You'll burn like the rest of them. Oh, well. Well, I guess I'm set to be on fire. As a new father, I was excited at the prospect of showing off my new beautiful baby boy. And it's so galling that I won't be able to do this. It's no longer a possibility. Robbed of the experience because some idiot, some idiot could easily toss something and hit my wee boy. He's only 4 months old. And people can say, oh, why would you want to bring a baby to this? Why not? Why am I not allowed to do this? I'm being prevented from doing this. Prevented. And it shows you just how pathetic Scotland is now. In 2024, I can't bring my newborn into a public square. There you go. Thanks to the SNP. Thank you, SNP. Thank you for making Scotland less safe for me and less safe for my son. Thank you, SNP. You've been instrumental. The truly sad thing about this is when Scotland, and this is, again, we're maybe getting into the realms of theory here, but this is what I believe, right? The attacks in Southport happened, right? If you think about it, along the division lines of unionist versus nationalist, if you think about it like that, it makes absolute perfect sense that the stabbings in Southport were felt by unionists. They were felt by people in Glasgow. These wounds were inflicted upon the whole country of the United Kingdom when these 3 girls were killed. But the nationalists, England's another country. England's no like us. England's totally different. The English are not like us. We are exceptional here in Scotland. We're nothing like us. Nothing like us. So we've not got a problem with it. No, Unionists view England as their own back garden. That's why we feel that we feel these wounds inflicted all the way down Southport. We feel them here in Glasgow as well. That's why. And that's, I mean, this is the constant thing. It's like, oh, Scotland is a totally different country. Totally different country. And yet they'll call us, you know, they'll call us xenophobic when they don't even view the English as their brothers and sisters. It's shocking. It truly is shocking. I mean, if anything is to happen at this event tomorrow, again, it's all down to the media. Absolutely all down to the media on this. Over 400 viewers now, guys. This is incredible stuff. We've only got 50 minutes until the Alistair pops up. We've got another one. Oh, here we go. Oh. Ah. It's Quasimodo herself. She's come out. Figures like Tommy Robinson not welcome in Glasgow, says council leader Susan Aitken, who is probably one of the most corrupt council leaders that Glasgow has ever had. Ever. We've got the players in the night. We've got Mark Zegfield in. We've got Bob. We've got Roy. We've got them all. We've got all the major players in the night. Let's read what Susan Aitken's telling us. Let's read. Anti-racism campaigners have organised a counter-protest on Saturday in response to a scheduled anti-immigration rally in the city. Ooh, Susan Aitken called for a celebration of the diverse, multicultural city. Aye. And here he is, the main man. The media don't want a peaceful protest. They'll do everything to stir it up. Yes, indeed. But I mean, it serves the media that there's something bad happening about it. You know, see if people get pictures of me getting attacked, or people getting attacked, people, you know, scuffles in this rally, then it's going to be such we won't be able to escape it for weeks. It's going to be all over the papers for weeks. Absolutely ridiculous. Council leader Susan Aitken has said far-right leaders, figures like Tommy Robinson, are not welcome in Glasgow, and she called for a celebration of this diverse, multicultural city. Anti-racism campaigners have organised a counter-protest, and it's always anti-racism. You know what I mean? It's not just pro-immigration campaigners, pro-mass immigration campaigners. You know, that's a more accurate one. It's not anti-racism. We're not being racist by asking for less, for at least organised immigration. Stand Up to Racism Scotland, in coalition with trade unions and refugee rights organisations, who I guarantee you will be on the Scottish Government payroll. And the people there will be on the payroll. All the office staff, all the administrators, all there'll be minions in all these organisations they'll paid huge sums of money to just sit about and send emails. What a bunch of losers. You know, and this is the thing about the curated fakeness of the Scottish political sort of climate. The Scottish political climate it's all just a big perception game for the SNP, for the people in government, because they control these organisations. They control them, so they can curate and create this fake, false perception about how people feel. Pay people to turn up to protests, so it looks like they have the majority view, when in fact, I'm telling you right now, that stop the boats, that this campaign to stop the boats, this campaign to stop mass immigration, that is the silent majorities. That is the majority feeling, and right across the UK. Everyone, I'd say the vast majority of people want the boats stopped immediately. They want an end to mass immigration immediately. And that's why the Tories were brought in time and time again. And they've done nothing about it. They've done nothing about it. And that's why they'll never get in again. Well, Alistair coming up in 10 minutes. Got more comments coming in. If there is trouble, does Sheridan get arrested for igniting violence on the internet? Well, let's maybe I can ask the producer to find out what Tommy Sheridan is saying. I know he's going to be there. I was talking to one of his pals the other day. Tommy Sheridan, you know, he just loves to grift and to cling on to sort of faux political agendas. What is cruel but fair? And I wonder if people like Tommy Robinson can do a better job of filling potholes, emptying the bins, and maintaining drainage. I bet he could. I bet he could. Because Susan Aitken isn't doing any of those. If there is trouble, which I hope not, Tommy Sheridan should get arrested for instigating it. Could you tell me, Mark, or could you maybe say in the comments what he will be, what he said? We might just look him up on Twitter and see what he said. He'll be swinging between the protest groups. We'll leave that comment up just to bed in a bit. We'll just leave that comment up. That's probably the best comment of the show. We might just leave that up for the entire duration of the show, this comment, because it's so funny. He's bouncing back and forth, Craig. Bouncing back and forth between he's got keys in one bowl and keys in another. He's right. Let me try and find out exactly what Tommy Sheridan has said. Citizen Tommy. Let's see. I see it's all about a rally that he's got coming up down the line. I don't see much about the 7th. Let's see. Don't give Craig any more publicity. Use dice or a barley laughs used to. So what has Tommy actually been saying that he's been instigating things? What has he actually said, Mark? I don't know what he said. I can't find it. I can see his Twitter, but I can't see anything that's popping out at me. It's funny. I'm looking just through Tommy Sheridan's Twitter feed, and you know, and he shares the likes of Shawnee Boy. You know, our good friend Shawnee Boy, the comedian, who's just releasing a new movie on Nicola Sturgeon. It's funny that we can all sort of agree that the SNP need to be laughed at, need to be laughed out of office, and yet we're totally at odds on this issue. It's just incredible. He asked for counter protests. Well, I don't know if that's instigating it. I mean, I think if there's anything that deserves a wee bit of, where's the one with Neil Mackay? This is instigating violence, Mark. Run these far right bastards out of Scotland. This guy's supposed to be a journalist. He's supposed to be a journalist. Nay Nazis in Glasgow. Run these far right bastards out. A journalist? Hello? Neil? See, if anything happens to me, it's on you. It's on you, Neil. And the people like you. soon as the event was announced, he called for an Indian event in Edinburgh to counter protests in Glasgow. What a total belly. The Edinburgh one to be I'm just, it's the frustration that gets me on this. I mean, I could look at this the whole, all night. It's so outrageous to call us Nazis. And to be able to call us Nazis as well. This is the thing. Like, I thought that our Lord and Savior Hamza Yusuf had brought out a new hate crime law to stop occurrences like this, to stop hatred being stirred up. Well, hello, McFly. I believe that this is a clear-cut example of stirring up hatred against another group, against a political viewpoint that mass immigration is wrong, that mass immigration poses incredible danger upon the citizens that you're importing them in. And yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, this has got to be stirring up hatred. Got to be. Right. Let's get that wee image away. Let's look at some of the other people again. So they're showing up at 12, an hour before us, classically. I mean, this is just looking at this. I'm wondering how much money does the Scottish government send to these organisations? How much sway does the Scottish government, how does the SNP have over all these people? It must be huge amount of sway, a huge amount of influence, and a huge amount of money that goes to these people. Some more comments coming in. Calling people far right and Nazis is cheap and lazy. It means nothing now. You can say that again, Mark, but it's different. It's different if you're just calling them Nazis, right? Different. But then you're calling a group of people who are going to be in a public place at a certain time Nazis, and you're also asking for them to be driven off the square. That these bastards should be run out of Scotland, Neil Mackay says. Right? It's different when it's it's a moment in time. It's much different. And this is true as well. Mark Zeggerville was asked to attend a police office for less because you can remember all these riots down in England and the far right. A guy just got sentenced to 9 years, the longest sentence for anyone now. 9 years, and yet we get stuff like this for Neil Mackay, and yet nothing will happen to him because he has the government approved viewpoint. He has the government approved viewpoint that's allowed. You know, it's you're not allowed to have my viewpoint. Apparently, you're not allowed to have our viewpoint. Apparently, that mass immigration it poses huge threats. It poses huge problems. It doesn't solve anything. It's no good for our economy. They can tell us all they want that we need a huge amount of migrants for the economy. What a lot of crap! It's BS. It's BS. I sent an email to Swinney about the counter protest being moved. Niall, would you like a copy of the response? It was a joke. Yes, please, Truth. If you can get that to me via DM, I might be able to get that up in the show. That'll be good. Right, so we've got 2 minutes. Well, in fact, we'll just get Alistair on the new. He's sitting there patiently waiting in the lobby, in the green room. So let's take this off. Let's take. Sorry, guys, we're just a bit ad hoc tonight. Right, so coming up, we've got Alistair McConaughey, who will be speaking alongside me tomorrow at this rally. And well, without further ado, here he is. Alistair, how are you?
Hi, good evening, Neil. Lovely to see you. It's excited about
Yes,
tomorrow, I have to say.
Well, it's a sense of foreboding for me, Alistair. You know, it's not. It's maybe not a sense of excitement. It's a sense, you know that you ever seen Lord of the Rings?
Oh yeah,
It's the scene in Lord of the Rings where I think it's the Return of the King, where it's one of the hobbits says to Gandalf, he says, I never wanted to be in a battle, but standing on the edge of one that I can't avoid is worse.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is the sort of feeling that I've got now.
Well, do you know what?
It's terrible.
As a veteran of many of these sorts of things, I can tell you it's going to be absolutely okay. You know, the Scottish police, no matter what some people may think of them, they are very good at catering for these sorts of events, and they've got plenty of experience, and they'll make sure that everybody is safe and sound, and there's no reason for anybody to be put off coming along because of some kind of fear or foreboding or anything like that. It's going to be absolutely fine. The opposition, the Open Borders Brigade, as I call them, they thrive on as you've just been talking about for the last hour, attempting to demonize people, calling them names, speaking in a very aggressive manner, which really is undemocratic when you get right down to it, but being able to coast along without really any problems, because they are essentially the establishments. They are paid by the establishment. I mean, you spoke earlier about paid agitators. Well, of these 19 people on that list that you showed who are speaking tomorrow, there's 12 of them working for organizations and getting paid to work for organizations, whether that's trade unions, whether that is so-called NGOs like the Scottish Refugee Council, which gets hundreds of thousands of pounds of our money, it should be said. All of these organizations get taxpayers' money. Patrick Harvey is one of the biggest recipients, of course, of taxpayers' money. People stop. You've got Scottish Trade Union Congress, of course, lots of employees for that who will all be there. So a lot of these people are working for NGOs and trade unions and political parties and getting good money for all of that. And you and I and the other speakers there and so on, we're just doing this off our own back.
Yes.
And in fact, spending our own money to actually be there if it comes right down to it. And we don't mind that, of course. But these people are being paid. This is their job. Their job is to promote mass immigration, to promote open border asylum seeking. Forget the fact that most of it is fraudulent and it's just simply economic migration. Their job is to promote all of that for whatever reason they want. Now, some of them, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate why they want so many people coming into the country and indeed changing the face of Scotland in that way. I'm not going to speculate on why that might be the case, but it's clearly the case. You know, I was reading the press release, and I think you maybe made mention to it there, from the so-called Stand Up for Open Borders, Mass Immigration and Unlimited Asylum, otherwise known as Stand Up to, which they call racism. And it just really struck me the extent to which their only argument is, oh, we've got to stand up for multiculturalism and diversity. And aren't those great things? Well, I think there is a debate to be had. There's a conversation to be had about what is and what is not good about diversity and multiculturalism. But let's just say that you and I thought multiculturalism was absolutely hunky-dory and it was absolutely great to live in a diverse society. That still does not justify 1.2 million immigrants coming in 2023, 1.2 million immigrants coming in 2022, the year before. And it does not, no matter how much you love multiculturalism and diversity, and I dare say there are advantages to both in some ways, that still does not justify our country being invaded across the English Channel every day by hundreds of young men It doesn't justify any of that. And when you say that to them, they'll just say, of course, they've got no answer to that. So that's when they bring out the N word. That's when they bring out the F word. That's when they bring out the R word in order to smear, and in the hope that that's going to shut you up. And when that doesn't work, then they start to bring out the aggressive language, which is instigating, as your viewers have been saying, which is encouraging some of their less responsible members to behave in a foolish manner because the other side has been demonized in a very negative way. So this is a very serious matter. And that's what keeps a lot of people away from enjoying this debate and coming along tomorrow. But this is what is different about tomorrow, is that there's going to be a lot of good people there, a lot of people from Glasgow, a lot of people from Scotland, 1 or 2 people may be coming up from the north of England, I don't know, but there's people coming in from all over, and they'll all be normal people. They're concerned about the future of Scotland and of the United Kingdom, and this is their chance to simply stand with us, to stand together and protect our country, as it said in the very first flyer that the Glasgow cabbie was giving out. And I encourage everybody to do that, and don't be put off by the negativity and the aggressive language coming from the other side and coming from the Scottish mainstream media, which of course is completely in the bag of whoever is the government of the day and always has been. So I don't have a sense of foreboding. I have a sense of hope that this is going to be a historic day for Scotland and for the United Kingdom. It is, after all, the first time that, in my knowledge, certainly in the 21st century, that a rally has been held in the centre of Glasgow for immigration restriction. It's kind of, some people might say it's late in the day, but hey, better late than never. And it is the perfect time, because in the next 3 years, we are facing lots of elections. In 2025 in England, they've got a lot of council elections. In 2026, it's the Scottish and Welsh elections. In 2027, it's the Scottish council elections and also the Northern Ireland election. And then a hop, skip and a jump later, it's going to be the British general election all over again. So this is a period now. The next 5 years is a very important period for this immigration restriction voice to be heard and for it to be normalized in political discourse, and for the politicians to say, oh, crikey, we've tried to avoid this for so long. We can't avoid it now, because unless we do something about this, we are going to lose votes to the other parties or the other party or whoever it may be that is saying we've got to stop mass immigration, we've got to stop the boats and send them back. That's absolutely crucial. And no resettlement of the boat people in Scotland, because we don't know who they are, they're unvetted, and they're not so-called refugees in the first place. They're simply economic migrants, and they do need to go home. They need to know that Scotland is not the place for them, that they will make a much better life for themselves in their own countries. And we can help them to do that. You know, nobody's saying that we drop them off and leave them. We can give them money to go home. After all, we're giving them a lot of money right now. We're giving them something like £8 million a day just to keep them in hotels. We'll just give them that money, pay their airfare, and give them a grant and say, make the best of this back home, mate. You know, and it can all be done perfectly humanely.
It was interesting that, I mean, I'm reading the news today, and Germany are going to be using some of the UK infrastructure in Rwanda in order to deport people from Germany to Rwanda, using the UK's thing that they've set up as well. Seeing as Keir Starmer scrapped it, I think we were selling the scraps to the Germans now. But everyone's thinking this right across Europe now, that these people, they can't, it's not that we can't afford to have them here, right? We can't afford them to arrive on our shores just endlessly. You know, it's not going to happen. And, you know, if we don't have a secure border, we don't really have a country at the end of the day. You know, and we can't wait around for the likes of Marine Le Pen to be elected in France in order to stop them coming here. We can't allow this, you know, and it's the whole fact that these migrants travel right through all of Europe in order to get to us is proof is proof that they're economic migrants and not asylum seekers. It's proof.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're economic migrants. However, even if they were genuinely fleeing a war, I mean, there's wars every day in the world, and when I was growing up in the 1970s and 80s, I was hearing of wars all the time in Africa, for example. But they stayed in Africa. The Africans didn't say, "I'm going to just go up to Europe." Various reasons for that, of course. Unfortunately, the British government destroyed our main barrier, which was Libya. Once they did that, it opened the floodgates. Thank you very much, British government, for that. So we are the cause of our own misfortune to a large extent as well. But having admitted that, that doesn't mean that we have to accept them in, because a lot of the Open Borders Brigade will say these are consequence of your wars. I absolutely agree. That's why I am very anti-war, because whenever we get involved in a war, nothing good happens for us at all, except hundreds of thousands of more immigrants, especially so-called asylum seekers, coming into Europe. That's all that happens from wars, as Middle Eastern wars, as far as we're concerned. So we have to stay out of all of that kind of stuff. We have to protect our own borders. And that's a message that many people will also resonate with.
You think as well, I mean, the argument for immigration entirely as well is, somehow Europe's got like an economic brain drain, that all the best people in Africa and right across that want to migrate into Europe are the sort of intellectual powerhouses. They are the people who are actually nation builders, these people. So, extracting that from their countries, it doesn't suit the countries that they're coming from, because how are they ever going to improve if we've got this brain drain and we're taking the best people? Whereas we should be focused on making a better environment in their countries and improving their countries so that they wouldn't need to emigrate anywhere. They wouldn't need to emigrate, but they wouldn't need to go anywhere.
That's right. And I think that's all part of the solution, is finding what ways that we can share our technology and our abilities and our knowledge in order to help their economies grow as much as possible. Definitely, these sorts of things need to be part of a joined up solution to this. But we shouldn't. We should also focus on switching off the tap before you mop the floor. So switching off the tap is the first thing that you have to do. Once you've got the tap under control, then you can mop the floor, and you can look at what are the pull factors and what can we do in other countries to help them. What wars can we stay out of? All that kind of stuff. That's all part of the equation. That's all part of the solution. But in the meantime, the first thing we have to do is we have to switch off the tap. And that's where we stop mass immigration. Now, I said that in 2023, there was 1.2 million people came in. That's the gross figure. There was also a large number, about 500,000, who left, meaning that the net was 600,000. However, I always concentrate on the gross figure because, for example, you could have net zero immigration. And what would that mean? That would mean 1.2 million came in and 1.2 million left. Well, that doesn't really explain anything, because who are these 1.2 million that came in? Did we want them? Where are they from? So the real figure to concentrate on is the gross figure, the people coming in. And I did some research, which was in our last program there on Wednesday, and we'll release it as a small 10-minute video this coming week. But I looked at the average gross and net figures between 1967 and 1997, which is approximately 30-year period, 31 years between before Blair coming in, when it all started to change. And the gross figure was actually very high in all of these years. The average gross was about 230,000 gross coming in. And nobody spoke about it, because for many of these years, if not for most of these years, there was actually more people leaving. And so immigration appeared to be a minus figure for many years. but there was still an awful lot of people coming in. And of course, we can look back now and we can see they were largely coming in from the Caribbean, largely coming in from India, largely coming in from Pakistan, as well as other places, of course. But the average gross for that period was about 200, let's just say 225,000. But that's still an awful lot.
Yeah, it's huge.
But the gross figure for last year was 1.234 million, 1,234,000, I think it was, which is just it's just crazy. And these are long-term immigrants. These are not like tourists. These are not people coming in for a week and leaving. No, these are long-term immigrants, over 1.2 million. So when we say stop mass immigration, the first thing we should be doing is immediately taking it back to the historic norm, the historic 30-year norm between 67 and 97, which is cutting it right back to around 200,000 gross coming in, and let the emigration, let that take care of itself for the moment, but cut it way back to around about 200,000 or so for starters, and then we can see where we are. And that's a crazy figure, because that's a very high figure. It's a crazy figure to cut it back to, but at least it makes logical and political and historic sense to advocate for that, which is what I personally would advocate for in the meantime.
What do you make of this comment? I mean, I see a lot of truth in this comment. You know, I believe the reason they're pushing for more guidance is so this flood Scotland and eventually have support for independence. I know people disagree with this, just my opinion. Well, I've actually got the same opinion, the truth, because we've heard that exact thing come from people like Angus Robertson. We've heard people like before, in order to get independence, we need demographic change. And before, it was, we just need to wait for the old people to die off, Alistair. Remember? To get independence, we just need to wait till old people die off. And it's just shocking to hear that. But we can expedite the process by, I mean, these people are going to be dying, but we could also bring in migrants and make the process quicker and more effective. It's absolutely, I think the campaign for demographic change in order to suit political agendas and political parties, and migrants are SNP are totally suited to bring in migrants in, because it maintains their political power. Because for the life of me, I think the SNP have given up the go on trying to convince Scots to vote for them anymore. They've seen they've just been absolutely decimated in the general election there, and now that I think as a last ploy to get some power in 2026 with their
it makes logical sense. It makes logical sense, and I think there will be an element of that, certainly among many of these people. Now, look at the people who are maintaining the status quo, who are maintaining the mass immigration agenda, the mass immigration narrative. It's these, at least all 19 of these speakers that you put up, they're all maintaining that mass immigration narrative. Now, of those 19, 12 have very foreign names. So, and I checked them, and they are 12 of them are like not white, shall we say. Surely I know there'll be British citizens and all that sort of stuff. But can we really, in all honesty, expect these people to even care about our demographic concerns?
No.
I mean, it's not as if folk from Afghanistan or folk from India or Pakistan or wherever will really care about these sorts of things. I mean, they might be great and they might be with us and all sorts of stuff, but they're not going to lose sleep over the fact of Scotland like becoming an African country or becoming an Asian country. They're not going to lose any sleep over that. And why? And indeed, why should they? You know, from their perspective. So there is, as more and more of these immigrants from abroad take political power, then of course their agenda is just going to be for more of their family. I mean, that's not even a controversial thing to say. That's just the way that the world works. And it would be foolish to imagine that was not the case.
I mean, I'm looking at this, and it's reminding me of a lecture series that I was at about Hamza Yusuf. So Hamza Yusuf was born out of Alex Salmond trying to appeal to the Muslim community. Hamza Yusuf was born into his political life birthed by Alex Salmond. And what was he given? He was given a whole lot of money to start something called I think it was the Muslim Council of Scotland or some nonsense like that, in order to appeal to the Muslim vote. This is exactly what I'm seeing here. So it feels the exact same thing happening over and over again, and it's just sheer corruption. It's just sheer and utter corruption. I mean, I'm looking at it. It's money for nothing, Alistair. And this is the thing. Gordon Martin of RMT, and I look up his video, and he starts his speech. Greetings, comrades. What does the guy think he's in? Like, I mean, who does the guy think he is? Where does he think he is?
A lot of these guys do like their role playing. No question about that. They like to role play that they're a great Soviet revolutionist or something like that. That's just the way they are. You can just you just have to smile.
I mean,
yes, lovely group of chaps there.
Yeah, we've got the band Kneecap. So me and you, I'm sure, will be
nice, gentle name.
Me and you will be watching them after the rally tomorrow, I'm sure.
Do they do it? Do they do any Pat Boone covers?
I don't know.
Because I would like some easy listening tonight to just put me to sleep. So maybe some Pat Boone or maybe some Nat King Cole.
Right, and let's look at it. Extinction Rebellion. Out of all the people, right? Extinction Rebellion is it's got something to do. It's an eco-centric organization, right? Extinction Rebellion. But we need to end oil because we're going to go extinct, right? If we don't, all out against fascism. Keep fascists off the streets of Glasgow. 11 a.m. George. Bring banners, pots, pans, horns, anything to make noise with. Everybody and their gran.
Do you know what? That's helpful that they're bringing pots and pans, because I'm probably going to miss my breakfast. So if they could just stir up a nice omelette for me, that would be good. That'd be good. Maybe a bacon roll would be nice as well, and maybe some sausages. So I'll just the
spread of fascist ideas fuels hatred, racist hatred, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and violence towards migrants. We stand for a Glasgow where everyone is welcome. History has shown the only way to stop the growth of fascism is to confront fascists on the streets and show them we'll not allow them to rally in our city centres. We intend to stay in George Square for several hours and hold the space. We'll bring in water for everyone. We're bringing water for everyone, and make sure you've got everything you need, like water, medication, because all these people are on medication, Alistair. Bring your medication and sun cream. What are they like?
Sun cream. What are they going to be like? Yeah. Well, I would just ignore that. That's just the usual rhetoric that you hear from these chaps and chapesses. They like to build all that sort of stuff up in their head, that they're great warriors for whatever it is that they imagine that they're fighting for. But at the end of the day, they will realize that, if they're open-minded, if they're coming from a good heart, they'll see that we've also got a point, and our point happens to be correct.
Yes.
And they have just been kind of brainwashed around a lot of these matters. And there's not going to be any so-called F words or R words or N word people on display. And they maybe will be disappointed about that. But then that's just the way it's going to be for them.
Let's talk about being correct there for now. So you mentioned our stance is correct. And actually, it's unassailably correct. It's an unassailable position being anti-mass immigration, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. Because even if you're saying, let's get it right back to the 30-year historic norm, that's still advocating for 225,000 people coming in a year, which is huge. And it's in fact too huge. For me, I personally would like to see it down to maybe about 35 to 50,000 gross a year, which would probably just be like marriages and things like that, and occasional, maybe the occasional brain surgeon, literally, maybe as long as he goes home to wherever it was that he came from, to ensure that he's also doing brain surgery on his own people. And that you mentioned earlier, we don't want a brain drain. We don't want all the talented people here if it means their own countries are going to be deprived. But we should get it right down as much as possible. But it'll still be coming in. It'll still be tens of thousands of people coming in. Okay. And we're not going to complain about that, because that's unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever your position may be, is bound to be the case, because there's always going to be people getting married and stuff like that. But even just where we stand at the moment, which is get it back to like the historic norm, that's still a huge number of people coming in. So it's to say stop mass immigration is unassailable. It's nobody can disagree with that. And you can only want the boats to continue if you actually don't believe in borders, if you don't believe there should be such things as laws which stop people breaking in to your country, which is what the boat invasion is about. And such people should be immediately sent back, and they should try coming in a legal way if they're so determined to do it, and see how far that gets them. And they shouldn't be resettled, because we don't know who they are, and they could be very dangerous people, some of them.
Well, I mean, just the economics of this as well is just absolutely staggering. So it came out in a committee meeting in Westminster that they had in a certain area of England, they had on standby 5,000 hotel rooms ready and waiting, bought and paid for by us for a huge swell, a huge surge of immigration. They've got 5,000 hotel beds on standby. How much is that costing us? Billions. And yet they want to take your grand's winter fuel payment.
That's right.
You see the economic tarnishing of our country is absolute. I mean, our priorities are upside down in the extreme. It's crazy.
Hugely so. And there's another study came out last week from the Centre for, I don't want to say its name because I get it wrong, but it was one of these centers for migration. And they said that in their calculations, jobless immigrants were costing the country, the United Kingdom, somewhere around 8.5 billion a year. Now, I'm sure that could be spent on some winter fuel allowances at the end of the day. So we've just got to accept all these jobless migrants. And there's another thing about the jobless migrants is, and again, I'm not blaming the immigrants here, but many of the immigrant families, the women don't work and are not expected to work. And I think that's absolutely fine. I would like it to be the case in the United Kingdom that women didn't have to work and were not expected to work in the sense of going out to a 9-to-5. But in immigrant communities, many of them do hold that very strongly, hold that very dearly. And so if an immigrant family comes in, it's only going to be one person who's going to be economically active in the sense of making money and paying taxes. The family, the wife and the children are going to be recipients in some way or another, no doubt, of welfare. And the report was pointing out that, in fact, most of these immigrants are costing the taxpayer more than they're giving into the economy. And of course, that's going to be the case. I mean, that's a cultural fact of many of the immigrant communities that are coming in. And is that not been worked into the equation by our stupid politicians?
Well, see what you're saying there as well. You know, these migrants, you know, they bring their culture with them, right? And this is the thing. There is a distinction to be made between a person coming and integrating, and then a person coming and they're coming to Britain to a better society in order to have a better life, and yet they're coming and they're not integrating. They're bringing their own culture with them, and they're imposing their culture on us at the same time. There's an imposition there.
after numbers get to a certain extent, it's going to feel like an imposition, no question about that. And the liberals who came up with this idea of integration as well, I don't really know what they were on, all those in the 1960s, so they're probably on some kind of wacky backy or mushrooms or something. But they seem to think that like a Muslim family would come in and become Christian. You know, of course not.
It's ridiculous.
You know, we don't expect foreign religions to convert to Christianity. Maybe in the old days we used to expect that, but today we're not going to expect all the Pakistanis can come in and all the Indian Hindus can come in. Oh, but they must convert to Christianity. Yeah. I mean, I'm afraid they're not going to do that. So they're just going to continue to be Hindu, or they're going to continue to be Islamic. And I mean, from their perspective, who can blame them? Of course, they're not being forced to convert. So it's like, fine, we'll just set up our own wider Islamic community, as they say. And that's to be expected. So everybody going on about integration, you're like, what are you exactly talking about here? How are you expecting them to integrate in that way? And of course, some of them don't want to or are unable to speak English, you know. So that's another obvious way that they're not going to be integrating. So the integration thing only works if there's sufficiently few of the different cultures coming in. And if because of that, there is a requirement for them to go along and get along with the wider, more dominant culture. And it's about them fitting in with the dominant culture in order that they can progress through society. But once their numbers get to a certain level, which they've long been at and above, then there's no real reason for them to integrate in any sense if they don't want to.
Well, Alistair, it's been a spirited conversation. We're only going to go to 9:30 today, so thanks for coming on for the latter half an hour. Tomorrow it's us versus the machine, the Pro UK rally tomorrow. And it is, when I say it's us versus the machine, it's the party apparatchiks. It's all the money tied into all these organizations, all these charities, all these individuals and companies, trade unions, NGOs, you name it. This is the tendrils of the Scottish government right here. We're looking at the end of the tendrils here, and it's such an eye-opening event for me to have all these people coming down on us as if we're the worst, most evil people in society, which is just, it could not be further from the truth. It could not be further from the truth. These people don't know that I spent months and months on end in George Square feeding the homeless every Friday. Have any of these people done that? They don't know me or you as an individual. They don't know any of us. And yet they're so happy to brand us as the most evil people in society without having even a mere conversation with us.
Yeah, it's shameful.
It's despicable in the extreme, Alistair. And this is what we're up against here, is that there's such a wanton need to brand this political viewpoint as far right, as verboten. You're not allowed to have this viewpoint. It's just it feels like, no, you will accept the migrants and that's it. You will accept mass stabbings on a weekly basis. You know, it's just and you know, you can say you can't correlate the two, but you absolutely can. We see it all the time, right across Europe. Anyway, I'm ranting again. Thank you very much for coming on, Alistair. It's been a spirited conversation. We'll hide to him the now. And if you want to see Alistair, give him a follow on Force for Good, and you'll see him tomorrow at 1 p.m. When the event kicks off. So thanks again, Alistair. I'm going to remove you for the time being. That was Alistair McConaughey at Force for Good. Give him a wee follow. And I mean, like you said, I mean, it's the stance. It's an unassailable stance, anti-immigration. So Alistair's going to go after it tomorrow, as is myself. If you can make it along tomorrow, please do. If you can't, I don't begrudge you for that. If you think it's going to get a bit too heated and you don't want to get involved, again, I don't begrudge that at all. It's maybe even the smarter play The thing is, I didn't want to have to walk into a situation like this again either. But it's not of my doing this time. This is the thing. I've done nothing wrong again. It's this portrayal in the media that we're all evil people, and we're not allowed to speak. And we've got this whole boot of the Scottish government coming down on us. And like Alistair said, we're not paid to be here. We're not paid to do these things. We do these things because we want Scotland to be the best. We want Scotland to be the best it can. And I want Scotland to be a thriving, great place for my wee son to grow up. That's why we do these things. We don't do them for clicks, for media, for attention, whatever it is. Couldn't care less. It's all about creating a better future for Scotland. And creating a better future for Scotland means stopping mass immigration. Right, guys, it's been the Niall Fraser Show. It's been Friday. Show up tomorrow if you can, 1 p.m, George Square. It'll be wild to say the least. There's going to be a mass amount of press, mass amount of people. I'm sure it'll be crazy. But hopefully nothing goes wrong. Hopefully we can get ahead, we can get our speeches done and out of the way, and we can enter and exit the square without without anything happening, I suppose. Right, guys, thanks again. But it's the best time of the show again, guys. It's the intro music, if I can find it. Outro music, rather. Good night for me.